Good evening, friends. A mother went to her pastor and told him, I think my son has a vocation. Can you guide me? The pastor told her, see, if your son wants to become a diocesan priest, he must study for 8 years. If he wants to become a Franciscan priest, he must study for 10 years. If you want to become a Jesuit, you must study for 14 years. The mothers listened quietly and then told this pastor, sign him up for that last one, Father, because he's a little slow. My dear friends, it's true that our training is a long one. It takes 14 years. But it's not true that with those who are slow in learning join the Jesuits. When does God sow the seed in a young person to become a priest? Is it when he is born? Or is it when he is doing his schooling? Or is it much later? Or when he is working? God has no time. He sows his seed when he thinks is best. What is required is the soil for the seed to be planted. When I speak of the soil, I speak about environment, his family life, and so also his schooling. These two are important factors for the seed to be sown and for the seed to grow into a plant. When I look at my own life and my own vocation, these two played an important role. My family, we were 6 siblings. My father worked on a ship. It's my mother who brought up in this Catholic faith, very strict yet loving. She will go for Mass every day, and I will accompany her every day and be an altar server and serve Mass every day. Maybe it's that time I felt a desire to become a priest. And I was very friendly with the parish priest there for the George Dissa. So also the assistant for the Anno Pinto. I felt inclined towards them. Then my schooling was also in the Jesuit school, St. Paul's High School, where I became very friendly with the priest there, the principal and the vice principal. So it is there the seed was planted, and I decided finally, after thinking, discussing with the parish priest, with the principal, confessor, to become a Jesuit priest. I spent now 56 years in the Society of Jesus, and I'm happy and thank God for that. Today I'm going to talk to you about Saint Stanislaus Kostka. He spent just 10 months in the Society of Jesus, and yet a big saint. He is patron of the youth, of the seminarians, and of the novices. On a canvas, he is portrayed person on a bed with 2 angels coming to give him communion. Or on a bed again with Our Lady, the child Jesus, and she is giving a child to Stanislaus Kostka. This actually happened much later on in his life. Now, he was born in 1560 in Poland, and he came from a noble family. His father was John Kostka, a senator of the Kingdom of Poland. His mother, Margaret de Romney, aunt of a celebrated Chancellor of Poland. So, big family. He had 6 other siblings. Here, the parents were very strict with him, with the entire of them, because they brought up them in good Catholic faith. good Catholic principles. And they made sure that these children do not get mixed up with others and get spoiled. So his family had a good role to play in his upbringing. He kept away from all so-called things that would take him away from so-called purity. It is said that one day a visitor came, and as we're talking, the talk was on a shabby side. And when he heard it, he felt ashamed. His eyes became red. He began to cry and he collapsed. When he was 14 years old, the parents felt that we have given enough training under a tutor, we must send him to a school. And therefore, he and his brother Paul were sent to Vienna in Austria to do their further studies. Here they stayed in a boarding school, which are run by Jesuits. It is here, as a boarder, life is tough. There's strict rules to be followed. Here Stanislaus spent much time in prayer and also penances. And it could be here that God was calling him to become a priest. Could be here. But the boarding life was short-lived because the boarding had to be closed for some reason or other. And then all the boarders had to seek a place where they could stay there and carry on their studies in the Jesuit school. And therefore, Stanislaus and his brother Paul, along with a tutor, hired rooms which belong not to Catholics but to Lutherans. It is here that Stanislaus' life became tough as the years rolled on. It is said, when one is under the umbrella, protected, things go on well. But when one is a free bird, then you fly where you want. And this is what happened to Stanislaus' brother, Paul. Paul was a good guy, as long as he was under this umbrella. But now, let loose. He felt he is now a free bird. He did things in style. He and his friends went to theatricals and musical performances. He had pleasure-loving friends who feasted time and again sumptuously. He held high festivals at home, and where wine went freely, where they began to gamble. Stanislaus kept away from all this. He was studious, studying seriously. And therefore, this brother Paul did not like this, not even their friends. So they began to treat him harshly. If anything went wrong, they would accuse him. They would insult him, abuse him, and call him all sorts of names. They even went to kick him. This went on for 2 years. Then Stanislaus was sick, very sick, and he was at the point of death. And then his brother realized what he had done. He immediately rushed to get a doctor. Stanislaus was dying, and he longed for the viaticum, for the last sacraments. But that was not possible because he was staying in a house of a Lutheran. He prayed to Saint Barbara, the patroness of the sodality to which he belonged. And that night, as he lay on the bed, slowly sinking, since asking for the viaticum, his brother wondered, what is wrong with my brother? All this time he was longing for the last sacrament, but now he's quiet. But he had not recovered as yet. After a couple of days, still on that bed, he had a vision. Our Lady appeared to him with the child Jesus, and a lady up and gave the child Jesus to him. Jesus touched Stanislaus and he was healed instantly. The next morning, he was up on his feet, back to his normal self, seriously studying, going to school. And his brother wondered, what has happened to my brother? He suddenly recovered. He was dying. And then again, his brother Paul and his friends began to ill-treat him so badly that they even kicked him. And then Stanislaus told his brother quite forcefully, if you treat me this way, I will leave the house. If you treat me this way, I will leave the house and you will have to answer to my parents. And his brother Paul told him, get out of my sight. Stanislaus had made up his mind to leave the house. But before that, he went and met his spiritual father and told him, I have a desire to join the Jesuits. So he approached the provincial of the province, who was happy, but said, you can't join here because your family is close by and they will never give permission to join. Now he realized this was the fact. His parents would never allow him to join priesthood or to join Jesuits. So he decided to leave Vienna and then go to Germany, the next province of the Jesuits. So, at the break of August the 10th, 1567, 17-year-old, after going for Mass, he skipped breakfast. There was a lot of commotion going on there. He quietly slipped away, dressed in a pilgrim with a staff in his hand, and began to walk towards Upper Germany to meet the provincial there. You won't believe, he walked 500 kilometers in 15 days. He walked the entire stretch, begging for his food, sleeping on the streets, in the fields, but he walked and walked and walked. And there finally he met Father Borgia and told him, I have a request, I have a desire to be a Jesuit priest. But the Borgia saw his so-called his sanctity, his holiness. But to test him, he said, let me see whether I really have a desire. And said, see, I can't keep you here because Austria is not, Poland is not too close by. Your parents won't give permission. So he says, listen, see, 2 other youngsters are going to join the Society of Jesus, but they will go to Rome. So you too join them. So 3 of them began walking to Rome. They walked 1,500 miles and finally reached Rome, where he entered the Society of Jesus. He didn't live long, just 10 months. After he joined the Jesuit novitiate, he began to live a life of purity. The novices and the others saw in him a perfect person who kept all the rules strictly, who prayed, did penances, long penances, with a deep love for God. And he said that when he used to pray, his heart used to burn and he used to get choked up. He will go out and someone asks, why are you out? I'm getting choked up. God's love is burning in me. He had great devotion to Our Lady too. Around 10 months passed, and the feast of Our Lady was coming close by. Feast of the Assumption of Our Lady, August 15. And he fell sick before the feast. And he wrote a letter to Our Lady to take him home to celebrate the feast there. He fell sick and told the infirmarian, the caretaker, I'm going to die soon. But he would not believe him, that this young man who just fallen sick would die soon. Just a day before his death, he asked the infirmarian, put me on a floor so I can pray and pray. And all around him were the novices praying with him. And as they prayed, he breathed his last between 14th of August to 15th of August. This young man had one motto in life. He says, I've been born to do better things in life. My dear friends, here we have a youngster, just 18 years old, who spent just 10 months to study of Jesus. But in 10 months, he had perfected himself. God had called him to join Jesuits. When Our Lady had appeared to him when he was sick, he told him, you are going to join the Jesuits. And Stanislaus kept up his word and joined the Jesuits, living a holy life. Each one of you, listen to me, will wonder, do I have a call to be a priest? How do I know I have a call? Pray about it. Think about it. Reflect about it in the course of your school life, or maybe even after that. And if you feel you have a call to be a Jesuit priest, do not be afraid or scared to knock at the doors of Loyola Hall, Miramar, where we have a pre-novitiate. I wish you God's blessings, and may you listen and respond to God's call. Amen.